Hello grade 12s, Dr. Shingo Mupfawa here and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to work through a very important grade 12 life sciences examination question based on homeostasis and the endocrine system. This question is only worth 6 marks, but it tests several concepts that you need to understand properly, including the pituitary gland, thyroid gland, thyroid-stimulating hormone, thyroxine, negative feedback mechanisms, and the goiter. It is Life Sciences Paper 1 that was written by grade 12s in November of 2022. We're going to answer question 1.5. As you can see here, guys, the question says, the diagram below shows the interaction between two endocrine glands. So, let's break it down step by step. Question 1.5.1 is asking us to name the type of interaction that occurs between hormone A and hormone B. And as usual, I would remind you or I encourage you to highlight the key words in each question so that you are constantly reminded of what the examiner expects you to do in each question. And also consider the mark allocation in each question so that you understand how much information you need to provide for each question. So if you look at question 1.5, you see that it is asking for the type of interaction, right? And this type of interaction is between hormone A and gland B. So now, we go back to our diagram. We look at it carefully. We see that the pituitary gland, which is this one, is releasing a hormone, which is hormone A. And this hormone A acts on gland B. This gland B then produces hormone C. So now the question is asking for the interaction that occurs between hormone A, the interaction that is occurring between hormone A and gland B. So now, if we look at gland B, we'll see that from its position in the neck, we can identify gland B as the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland. Okay? Therefore, if gland B, right, is thyroid gland, it means that hormone A would be thyroid-stimulating hormone, which is produced by the pituitary gland. So hormone A is TSH. And the thyroid gland, when it has been stimulated by thyroid-stimulating hormone, it secretes a hormone, and this hormone is thyroxine. Thyroxine. Okay. So, the type of interaction that is occurring between thyroid-stimulating hormone and the thyroid gland. Thyroid-stimulating hormone and the thyroid gland is negative feedback mechanism. All right, so let's answer that question. All right, so question 1.5.1. Remember, we're just answering the question. We're not going to repeat the question so that we save on time. We're just giving the examiner exactly what he or she wants. And here we have been asked to name. So we're just going to name that type of interaction. And like we said before, it is negative feedback mechanism. Mechanism. All right. Then we'll move on to question 1.5.2. Question 1.5.2, right? It is asking us to identify. So we are identifying. What are we identifying? We are identifying gland B, and this is worth 1 mark. So we're just going to write one thing because it is asking us to identify gland B. In other words, the examiner is asking for the name of gland B. And from our analysis or from our study that we have done on the diagram, we've already identified gland B. So we simply go back to our diagram and we get the answer. So gland B is the thyroid gland. So we're going to answer question 1.5.2, and this is part A. So gland B is the thyroid gland. We're not going to say a lot of things. We're just going to give the examiner exactly what they're asking for and nothing more, so that we save on time and we, at the end of the exam, we finish the paper and we don't cry. We don't go out crying or complaining that we didn't finish the paper. Now let us look at question 1.5.2b. It is also asking us to identify. So we're still identifying. What are we identifying this time? We're identifying hormone. It's a hormone this time, and it's hormone A. And we have already looked at hormone A in our analysis. Hormone A is TSH. All right, so we're just going to go back to our diagram. We take our answer from there. So question 1, question 1.5.2, this time is B, and it's asking for a hormone, and the hormone is TSH. We can write it as TSH using capital letters, or we can actually say thyroid stimulating hormone. It is the hormone that stimulates the thyroid into secreting thyroxine. All right, we move on to question C, right? It is asking us, or part C of this question is asking us to identify hormone C. And also it is worth 1 mark. So we're just going to write one thing there. So we write our C nicely here. And we go back to our diagram. As we can see, we identified hormone C as thyroxine. So we're just going to say thyroxine. And that's it. Okay. So now we move on. To question 1.5.3. Right, 1.5.3 is what we are looking at now. So this question is asking us to name the disorder that results when gland B is overstimulated and becomes enlarged. So the question is asking us for the disorder. We need to name. We are just naming. We are not describing anything. We're just naming. And what are we naming is the disorder that is going to result when gland B is overstimulated and becomes enlarged. And this is worth 1 mark. So when the thyroid gland, all right, when the thyroid gland, remember, gland B is the thyroid gland. We need to remember that thyroid B, like we say, gland B. All right, our gland B, we identified this one before. Right, we identified gland B as the is the thyroid gland. And when gland B is enlarged, the condition that we get there is called goiter. So our answer is goiter. Right, so we're going to write question 1.5.3. Right, it is asking us to just name, so we're just gonna say goiter here. Mind your spellings. Remember, you need to write the correct spellings for you to get the marks. Now, we move on to question 1.5.4. 1.5.4, right, is a question that is asking us the following question. Which hormone, A or C, will be expected to be high in the blood of a person with the disorder named in question 1.53? Let us think carefully. We said that hormone A is TSH. Okay, let me use a different pen here. We said hormone A is TSH. And we also said that hormone C is thyroxine. If the thyroid gland is being overstimulated, it means that there is going to be an excess amount of TSH stimulating our thyroid gland. So loss of TSH is going to be stimulating our thyroid gland. So it is going to be overstimulated. Therefore, the hormone that is expected to be high if our thyroid gland is overstimulated is hormone A. Therefore, the hormone that is expected to be high is hormone A, which we identified is TSH. So the answer, according to our question, the question is asking us, right, which hormone, right? And it has given us letters there. So it's hormone A or hormone C. So we're supposed to choose from what we have been given by the examiner. That's why it's very important for us to always go back to the question and see the instructions that the examiner is giving us in each question. So which hormone A or C will be expected to be high in the blood if one has got what? Has got the disorder, the goiter that we identified in the previous question. So we're going to choose from A and C because already the examiner is asking us to choose from A and C. From A and C, we're going to choose hormone A. So we're going to say hormone A. Hormone A. Okay, so we're done answering the question here. But let us just remember this, that normally the body uses negative feedback mechanisms to keep thyroxine levels within a normal range, in that the pituitary gland releases TSH, in that the released TSH would then stimulate the thyroid gland, which then produces a hormone, thyroxine. When thyroxine levels become sufficiently high, thyroxine, that hormone is also going to provide negative feedback that will reduce the stimulation, that will reduce stimulation from the pituitary gland. And this helps maintain a stable internal environment in terms of thyroxine levels in the blood. So remember that we start with the pituitary gland. Let me use a different pen. We start with the pituitary gland. So we have the pituitary gland, all right, and this pituitary gland produces TSH, our thyroid stimulating hormone, right, which then stimulates our thyroid gland, all right. Then our thyroid gland, when stimulated, will produce thyroxine. Right, and this gives us the negative feedback mechanism for this particular system. Negative feedback, this provides negative feedback. All right, so understanding this pathway can help you answer several questions. Let us look at how the examiner would mark your answers. Guys, we don't need to waste time. Let's just give the examiner exactly what he or she is asking for. So, for question 1.5.1, the marking point is on negative feedback here. Right, it would be okay if you just write negative feedback without mechanism, because the marking point is on negative feedback. And also for question 1.5.2, part A, the marking point is on thyroid gland. So just give the examiner what they're asking you. Don't give them unnecessary information. Part B is thyroid stimulating hormone. Remember, we said we can just write TSH. It's also correct. Even when you write thyroid stimulating hormone, it's still correct. And part C, the answer is thyroxine. All right, question 1.5.3, it is goiter. That's the condition. And the hormone on question 1.5.4 is hormone A. All right. So if you find this video helpful, give it a like, share it with your colleagues, comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you all in the next video. Bye.